Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm glad that I got the day of the week right because, you know, it's a gamble. It's always a gamble. We have a fantastic show lined up for you tonight. We have Adam Steigert. That is with a T, ladies and gentlemen. Adam Steigert. We have Rob Pastilli, as always. We have the ever-effervescent Mark Gray. And we have myself, Ash Hamilton of horror-fix.com. How's everybody doing tonight?
Great.
Living a dream.
Good. Doing good. Working off new technology.
If that's what you're calling it, I'm fine with it. Just don't do it in public.
Got my M1 iPad Pro.
How is that setup working for you? I mean, because you've made the transition at this point. You bit the bullet.
Yeah, its limitations are making themselves known in some situations. For the most part, it's been pretty good. It's fast. It's reliable. But it's just Skype, iPad version of Skype does not do well with external audio in. So that's been a struggle. Yeah, hopefully it'll work eventually.
There'll be 17 updates in the next 3 hours.
So what we're saying, Adam, is that we've got an opening on the show.
It's just how.
All right.
You
Welcome
thought
aboard,
you thought this was a simple interview.
Say,
it's an application.
All right.
So how are you doing this evening, Adam?
Well, I appreciate the challenge. I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here with you guys. This is a fun venture. I always enjoy doing like these little podcasts and trying to, just talk about film and horror and all that fun stuff. Being a magician.
And where in the wondrous United States of America are you contacting us from tonight?
I'm out of New York, the Queen City, Buffalo, New York. And out of Buffalo, New York, I'm on a suburb called Hamburg. So I'm in Western New York, if that helps.
I'm glad I don't have to hear Mark's vegetarian joke twice in a row, by the way. Thank God at least one of those was off the air.
It's not even a joke. This is like full-on legit. PETA offered the town of Hamburg money to change their name to Veggieburg because PETA is awful.
You sound so insistent.
We do have a burger.
This. Like you said, even offended that I thought it was a joke. It's like, it's not a joke, good sir. This is an event that actually happened.
Just like they tried to get Judas Priest to change no life till leather to no life till pleather.
You're joking where meat patties are getting stomped on in the streets.
No, that's Molly Crew. It's hellbent for leather.
Right.
98% fat-free patties are getting thrown in the gutters. And you laugh, Mr. Man. Scoff at my pain.
Robert, I see you're a Ghostbuster fan back there. You excited for the new flick?
Ask him how he feels about the last one.
Let's just pass that one. Let's go to the newest one.
Yeah, we don't have enough time for that.
I am afraid of it.
It could go good. It could go good for you, or for fans, I should say. I'm waiting for it. I'm hoping the best for it.
I had very high hopes for the 2016 Ghostbusters. You put 4 of the most talented female comedic actors together. Then, you hear that Bill Murray signed on, and, Ernie Hudson signed on, and Dan Aykroyd signed on. And they're like, I was thinking, okay, and then, what a suckfest that was.
Well,
So
people didn't want a reboot; they wanted a sequel, and I think that's what killed it the most. I thought the film was pretty enjoyable overall, but I am not a huge fan of the film. Let's just put it on the record. I did not want that film.
That was very diplomatic of you, Adam.
A tunnel, we may lose you.
I think you're going to evade
we're heading to a tunnel, we may lose you.
The flames and pitchforks and upset villagers tonight. So we have to be diplomatic.
Sorry.
Let's talk. I want to ask you a question. I got to know.
Well, first of all, we should let people know who we're actually interviewing tonight. Adam Steigert is a director. He is a filmmaker responsible for such films as Fang and the. When is Horrific Evil Monsters going to be released? Do you have a release date for us, Adam?
We are working on that right now. Actually, we're trying to do the festival circuit, so we try not to. We're not trying to release it right away, so we don't get bumped from festivals.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we are getting ready to put it out there. It is available for a limited time as like a screener possibility, so we get some feedback from people on Vimeo, and you can just check that out right off of our website 388studios.com, or you can check it off on our Facebook page, which is just The Horrific Evil Monsters. But yeah, I'm getting more into the YouTube world, I think, and a lot of our films, those two included, are slowly migrating over to YouTube, our YouTube channel. So, I think YouTube is the future.
It's Indie Adam, correct, on YouTube?
Yeah, actually, it's just my name. For some reason, it would not allow me to change it. But if you use the hashtag Indie Adam, you'll be able to start finding our content.
Okay.
But
yeah, I did watch Ombus on there the other night. Good stuff. Good stuff. I have to ask though, that alien, was he designed based on the artwork for Iron Maiden's "Stranger in a Strange Land" album or single?
No, he was not. I don't believe he was. I didn't craft the design of the face. I just approved it. So hopefully that was not the inspiration, or maybe it was. I don't know.
Well, it wasn't just the face. It was like the trench coat, the
hat.
It was just like,
no. The wardrobe I had a lot of input on for the Nemesis. I did not have a lot of. Well, no, I actually had the final write-offs on the mask, but I allowed the makeup people to have their own creative control over the face for the most part. Nods here and there, but the people that did it, though, surprisingly, went to the Tom Savini School of Arts at the Douglas Academy. So just
you struck a nerve, my friend. You struck a nerve.
Why?
That motherfucker owes me $30,000 for my tuition to that school.
Really?
I was there in the very first class. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know how to run a school.
Well, I'll tell you what. The makeup guys that I worked with were really well. They came out well from the school. I don't know if they would have any influence on him directly, though, because I don't think it was even him teaching half the time.
No, he just popped in.
The part too is, you get to so-and-so's school of music and they never even show up. It's, 10 other guys. And
he popped up every couple of weeks and it's like, oh, aren't I so wonderful? And then he hit on these 19-year-old girls and bum cigarettes off everybody and then disappear again.
Well,
it's the only way I made it through college, Mark.
Are you sure that wasn't you, Mark? Were you looking in a mirror the whole time?
I sense some projecting.
How many movies have you put together, Adam?
I was trying to figure this out recently. I did. I've been a part of either producing, directing, 17 films, is what we figured out. Some of them I'm not credited on. I think most of them are, to be honest with you. The last time I looked, I thought I was credited up to date on IMDb. But yeah, I've done quite a few films. Some I like talking about, some I don't like talking about. Ombus, however, though, is one film I really do enjoy talking about. There's a couple other films amongst the arsenal of films that we've done and I've directed that I'm really passionate about too. There's another film, A Grim Becoming, which is out there if you've seen that. And then Fang, we already talked about that briefly, but that's a werewolf film. So all of our films are basically genre based for each specific film. So one's a Grim Reaper story, another one is a werewolf story. We have all these little nets. The other one was an alien story. So, and then we're talking Horrific Evil Monsters. That's just one big combination of all of the work that we've done over the last 13 years.
Yeah, I watched the trailer for that. It almost seemed like the Avengers of a monster movie.
Yeah, you know what? I hate to admit it, but the trend right now is Marvel. Marvel is where people want to see that style of art. So we boosted the color up to 1,000 and tried to create a story off of something similar, but our own unique take of that genre.
Yeah.
Now, are all the films made Western New York? Or are they all Buffalo local, or?
Yes, for the most part, they all. So we did shoot some in California for the Horrific Evil Monsters. I don't want to tell too much about that, but there was something that was shot in the Horrific Evil Monsters that was shot in California. Besides that, yeah, we do a lot. We were in Central New York for Fang, which is the werewolf film. Very unique experience. I'll tell you a quick story about that story though. Making that film, we shot mainly in a house for about a week straight. It was one of the hardest things I ever did as a director, as an artist. And what happened was we ended up having conflict with the landowner. So we're shooting this whole film, and the whole time we have to worry about like the landowner coming trying to shut down the production. You want to add that stress into something. That's fun too. Another good story. But yeah, so there's always different little places we go, and we try to shoot for epic scale storytelling.
I watched the behind the scenes last night, and you were in Endicotteville. That looked like a nightmare trying to get everything that you needed into. I forget the name of the park there, where you had to lower everything down the fire ladder down at the end of the crevasse. It was the crypt.
Oh yes, you're talking the Tomb of Cyrus.
Yeah, Tomb of Cyrus. Yes,
that was for our last film, and I'll tell you, some of the locations you really want to, if you're dedicated to your art, you're gonna go. But that really tested us. That was actually the first shoot that I actually canceled in the history of me making film, because we had generator issues the night before, or generator issues the day that we were there. So we got all this stuff down this ravine that was super hard to get down there to begin with, and then we had to try and figure out how to get everything back up because we blew all the generators the night of, and we had to cancel the shoot. So it was a very costly and trying night, that one of the nights that were there. But yeah, that was a location.
and Ellicottville's not exactly like, in the middle of.
No,
It's kind of out there.
no, yeah, and where we were was this place called Little Rock City, I believe is the name of the park. And when I say it's in Ellicottville, then it's all the way out in Ellicottville, then it's up a hill, down a stone road, then down another stone road. So it is literally in the middle of the woods somewhere. It's pretty cool location though. In all honesty, a really great location.
So it sounds like it's not far from Ash's house.
It's just over the ridge. Everything's over the ridge.
Just over the ridge. Well, in Illinois, there's it's pretty much
right. You got to
flat
find
land,
that ridge. So that ridge might be in another state. So technically, yes, they are just over the ridge.
So, Robert, I have to ask, are you an Evil Dead remake fan, or are you an Evil Dead? I know that sigh. Because I have. You talking about Ghostbusters? I'm just thinking back here for a second. This is what I was going to ask you before.
I think I have to go remake. Slightly.
100%. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Slightly, just ever so slightly.
We have connected. We've connected.
See, these two guys have been trying to get me to watch the Evil Dead remake, and I can't bring myself to do it.
You haven't seen it? Oh my
No.
God! It is so good. It's so good.
It's just the word remake just almost instantly puts me off.
You just have to look at it as a tale from the Evil Dead universe. Don't look at it as a remake.
Right.
Look at it as a tale from the Evil Dead universe, and you'll be just fine.
And I think that's why I think that's why I put it just a smidge higher, because it's different.
Well, it had a
it's
budget.
not.
Where the other
Yeah.
one didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
They didn't
yeah.
have to collect cans and bottles to make the movie.
It was
And Raimi still had to sign off on that, so it wasn't like he was just putting his baby out there for somebody to make shit.
and it ended up being, at
So,
least in my
Mark, get on
opinion,
it.
one of the not just ballsier, homages to an earlier film or franchise, but one of the ballsier horror films we had actually seen probably, in the last 2 decades, honestly, as far as more of a mainstream, being able to sit down in the theater and see it. You're really not going to find a film with that much, visceral gore and gruel. It's just not going to happen. I mean, it came out there and sort of really pushed the envelope. And I mean, what do we really see since then, as far as a major Hollywood film with a big budget that has had that kind of gore in it? You just don't see it.
I can't think of anything.
Mm,
Nothing comes
I
to
got
mind off the top of my head.
no, no. It's one of those things that, like,
I mean, at one point it was raining blood.
Maybe it.
yeah.
Maybe it compares it chapter 1 or 2. At the very end there's that bathroom scene. I don't know which one it is.
I think that was the end of part 1.
Yeah, that's let's not go down the Stephen King rabbit hole tonight, because I will just I will go back and I will tell you, as much as I liked the Pennywise from the new It, the movie miniseries, it's so much better. I mean, and Tim Curry, come on.
Yeah.
Mark and I were just talking about this, like, guys that took over for another guy in a band. How'd you like to be Jake E. Lee coming in after Randy Rhoads? How'd you like to be, Ripper Owens coming in after Rob Halford? How'd you like to be, Skarsgård coming in after Tim Curry? There had to be, like, at some point in time, those clown shoes had to look like they were size 95s, at some point. But it's just, to me, it's all, when it comes to Stephen King, I don't think none of the movies will ever do justice to the books. And the closest is Pet Sematary to me. And I think that's just because I have a fondness for Pet Sematary, but
the original.
The original, not Lithgow. Oh.
Yeah.
But
that could have been something special, by the way. Just for the record, that could have been something, and I don't know what they did with it, but all the way to the end with the kid in the car, I was just like, yeah, I'm just not feeling this. I'm just not. The original was one of the first ones I actually thought was actually kind of creepy. Like, that was one of my first horror films I actually saw as a kid. It scared the shit out of me. That and Night of the Living Dead and Blair Witch, those 3 films, my childhood scared.
Yeah.
Is that what made you want to be a filmmaker, though?
Dawn of the Dead did. The original George Romero film, Dawn of the Dead did. It's so crazy. What is so crazy about that? I've seen him speak. Well, I did see him speak. I had the opportunity to meet him. I did not do it. One of the highlights of my whole career, as much as it seems so silly, but it isn't to me, is my name got tagged in a press release with him on IMDb. So my name showed up with his attached to an IMDb news release, and it was one of the biggest highs of my life, because that's why I make film, is because of George. So, you can't see it now, but my house is very decorated in that style. I actually have a signed check from George Romero. We've gone down to the Monroeville Mall several times. That is an awesome experience if you've never done that.
I went there a number of times when I was in that awful excuse for school.
At least you're not bitter.
That's right. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, at least you've gotten over it, Mark.
I can see the teeth getting grinded right there.
So I'm going to go back to an original question I had earlier before. Sure. What is the 388 and 388 Studios?
The 388 Studios actually is an address. That's where it came from. It was something easy to be remembered off of. I had owned a previous company with some fellow filmmakers or partners, however you want to say it, and the business ended up closing. And myself and one of the business partners went off and created our own brand, which is the 388 Studios. And then we found another partner. So it's myself, my wife Kristen Steigert, and then Chris Burns. The three of us own and operate 388 Studios, and it's just basically an entertainment company. And we produce. We also do accept, but we've been very I don't even know what the right word is. Picky. I don't even know if that's the right word. But we do also do mild distribution for certain films. But I don't know where that's at because I don't really run that operation. I'm more the let's make a film, yay. But yeah. So
I did notice, watching the end of all the films that I've watched of yours now, um, your name appears under everything except, Garbage Man. If you are like, you know, producer, director, script,
I don't want too much control being taken from me. You know what I mean? As an artist. I'm serious. Even going down to the wardrobes, like I have to have the sign off of it. I have to be like saying, "Hey, why don't you wear this type of colorful wardrobe or something?" I just have to have my hands in everything, and sometimes it's not so good. Especially on the bigger productions I worked on, they when you get into micromanaging, it's just, and it's not purposefully. You have these bigger projects. I shot films with over 1,000 people on the production end, and get to a point where you want to trust everybody, but sometimes you don't know who to trust. Or anyways, the point I'm trying to make is I just like to be able to just be in there everywhere I can, if I guess you could say.
I know, Ash, you're going through this process now, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's
What
some.
do I dare ask?
Well, we had at one point about it. Now it's been a little about a year and a half ago. We had started out on an adventure, sort of making a film under our brand, and we had got some great people involved, and we had we thought was the perfect cast, and COVID hit, and it just it sort of soured confidence from investors. So COVID hit, the money left quickly, and over the past year, bouncing back has been, how can I make a movie for nothing? Like that's been the code I've been trying to crack for the last year. Is like, how can I write something? Because I have a tendency to set out writing a small film or write a small story. And then at like page number 2, I'm like, well, an explosion would probably shake things up a little bit. And then everything just starts inflating and inflating. I'm like, well, if it's an explosion, let's have it be off world. We'll just fix it in post. So then we keep getting bigger and bigger. And then I have the script where I'm like, great, another, $30 million script that I'm not, ever going to sell or make. But the last year has been more like, how can I do something for nothing? Like, how can I literally write a film with the idea in mind that I can use the equipment that I have, the resources that I have, and maybe $2 or $3 grand here and there, but nothing that's gonna make sure that my kid never goes to college or anything. Like I'm not burning any horrible financial bridges because I really can't.
Yeah.
Like it's a necessity that I make it for nothing. But in doing that, yeah, there's a huge amount of control that I have to exhibit to make sure that there's quality control measures for a no budget film, but you have to, or else it's going to look like a no budget film. And I kind of want it to look like a film that had purpose. I want it to be purposeful, and then the fact that it didn't have any money maybe comes second. But yeah, so I understand. Yeah. I understand exactly where you're at. That was sort of long winded, but yeah, you sort of have to be.
Well, I don't know how I would not want to have been one of the people, and I'm there with you, man. I would not want to have been somebody making a film over the last year. It was torturous. In fact, I did make a film over the last year, but it was like a COVID safe project, which is something I haven't really talked about too publicly yet because I'm trying to see where we can release it. Like Terrific Eel Monsters is going through something right now where we want to put it in theaters for a release, but those that know, New York State has just kind of opened up to the whole theaters. And some of the theaters locally have still not opened. And I'm more concerned that those theaters may never open at this point. But it's a very concerning thing because now theaters, they want the one that's going to make them the most buck as quickly as possible. So us indie guys, they're getting pushed to the side. I can go and rent a theater out, but they're not going to rent it to me, even if my money's good. next to a Quiet Place 2 or a Marvel film. They're just
Yeah.
not going to do that. They're not going to do that, and that's sad because us indie guys, we're getting pushed to the side, and now we're getting stuck to streaming. Which, to be honest with you, we did this internet release of the film just as a world premiere. Little, all right, hoorah, we did it. We got it out there, and then we had a decent turnout for it. But would it have been the same crowd we got in the theater? I don't know. I think it was people across the country. It wasn't just centralized to Buffalo. We have always had decent turnouts with our theater releases, and if we can't get a good crowd because of limitations and things, then the theater is not going to work for us, which sucks because the Terrific Eel Monsters was made to be seen in a theater strictly.
And I think too, like being in Western New York, I'm in Rochester, just down the 90. We have it's very community driven, you say Hamburg, and the folks in Hamburg, they know, if you filmed a movie in that town, they know. And when if the premiere is going to be somewhere in the area, they're all like, oh, we have to go see it. I remember driving by and seeing them film. It's it's one of those things where it sounds, Buffalo is one of these cities that sounds like, oh my God, it's Buffalo. But it's also one of those cities where, like, the guy that you're living next door to is probably a guy that went to high school with a buddy of yours that you met at work. That, it's just one of those weird little interwoven towns where everything is, somebody from somewhere.
Right.
It to me, like, one of the things that always made me laugh was when I first moved to Rochester, I heard someone refer to Cheektowaga as Cheek to Vegas.
Yeah.
And
that's a big phrase. Yeah.
And it was like, I guess I don't get it. Then I went there. I was like, now I get it. But
can you explain it to me? Because I still don't.
Well, there's a few clubs, up and down the streets in Cheektowaga that, cater to the 21 and older male demographic.
I'll have to look that up. I don't know what you're talking about. I mean,
yeah, there you go. No, it just comes down to, like, it's funny, you the little tie-ins in Rochester or Buffalo, it's very strange. It's a very strange kind of, community endeavor. And, we were watching Ambus, right? It was filmed in Angola and Hamburg.
Evans, Buffalo, New York. I mean, it was literally in like 6 or 7 different communities. But you know what's so great about Ambus? Out of all the films, next to Prisoners of the Dead, or Final Day, however you want to call it, that film, those 2 films, impacted the Angola economy hugely. When we were shooting for Final Day, it was a zombie film. They welcomed us in there with open arms and gave us the keys. You know what I mean? We wanted to flip over cars. Did they bother us with it? No, go right ahead, flip over a car. We had so many people. Well, we counted over 1,000 people at one time, either between onlookers or extras or crew. I mean, it was just one of those experiences where, like, can we have a fire truck? Yeah, let's get the fire truck down here. Well, you want a police car too? Yeah, give us a police car if you're gonna. And
right.
they did that. So we're very thankful to them because they really set who I am. When you do indie film, and Ash, this is something to really take into consideration, is indie film, you're going to have indie actors, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just they're not an established name. So look for the people that have good social media input. Look out there and say, look for people that do a lot of promoting, self-promoting, because any artist that says they don't need to self-promote is lying to you and was not worth one of your dollars. Seriously, that's if you pay them.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah. So I always. What was that?
You share a couple actors with Adam, don't
you? Yeah,
at
the time that we had got a little bit of stuff together to shoot, we had Kaylee Williams come down and do some work for us. I'm close to the St. Louis area, so I've known Bishop Stevens for quite a while. Yeah, Bishop, great guy. So we had some people come down that sort of went to bat for us, and unfortunately we just couldn't go 9 innings during COVID. But yeah, they were great, and
Yeah,
they were
well,
they were
that's
great to
just
help us promote at that time too. Yeah.
the thing I was going to try and tell you though is with indie film and having indie actors, you need to find something that's going to make you stand out. Now, I don't know how it is in like Rochester with the Film Commission. I have thankfully have a decent rapport with the Buffalo Film Commission, but like I was one of the first people to start going to the Buffalo Film Commission locally and saying, "Hey, can we get some assistance with shutting down this and that?" And thankfully, they responded to it. But communities are all about that. You know, if you can find the right community, I think Rochester may be another one of those. I was going to shoot a film out there too, but it just never ended up going out there because Buffalo said yes. So, you know,
We've had quite a few films in Rochester. One of the Spider-Man films did some scenes in Rochester.
yeah,
Cherry Crush was a film that came, filmed predominantly in Rochester. Um, they filmed a movie about the double letter murders in Rochester, the killer from the Rochester area back in the 70s, and they filmed the movie here with Carrie Elvis, I think, was in it, and was here in town pretty predominantly. But yeah, I don't get it. I'm not much into that aspect of things. Ash is the filmmaker. He's the one that's into that stuff. Me, I like watching movies. I absolutely adore. Um, I will find a movie like a sci-fi movie and like place a wager with myself. How many commercial breaks can I make it into this movie before I start going? Why am I watching this?
well, that's why on YouTube, I don't mean to cut you off, but on YouTube, we set the commercials back a bit. You know what I'm saying? So get a little more before you decide to click that bad boy off. You know what I'm saying?
I will tell you, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I had such a good time watching Fang,
Oh,
and I absolutely, I watched that movie and like I just had a great time watching it. That's my wheelhouse. The like those offbeat, like Chupacabra versus the Alamo.
yeah,
I love people that go on to IMDb and they're like, "Oh, this is the shittiest movie I've ever seen." Asshole, you did not, put Grapes of Wrath in your your DVR, your DVD player. You chose a movie called Chupacabra versus the Alamo. What the fuck were you expecting?
yeah.
You know, and to me, that's the best part about this is like, watching your movies. You're having fun. I can tell that you are having fun.
Yeah.
You can tell that like the actors and the actresses in your movies are loving what they're doing and they're enjoying it because you can almost see like who's the sheriff in
Richard Satterwhite.
Richard Satterwhite.
Yeah,
You
he's
could kind Yeah, he just had like this throughout the whole movie. He just had this like presence of like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. Uh, he sold it. It was there. He had it all. He owned it, and it was beautiful,
Well,
and it was.
I think him and Aaron Fitzgerald, the girl that plays Haley, I think the chemistry between them two. I mean, there's a scene in the police car. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. The police car scene where he picks her up,
Yep.
and that scene was my all-time favorite scene until the scene I just shot with Kaylee Williams for the River Gila Monsters came along. And that film was shot in 2012 for 2013 release. This is 2021, so think about how long it took to beat that scene. I've done several films. That's one of my favorite scenes. It's so well written. The location, you have a police car. I mean, it feels legit.
Yeah. Did you and mommy make out?
Yes.
That was like really. I mean, like that was like I don't know. There was just something about that whole movie that, like, as I watched it, I just kept saying, "I love this. This is awesome. This is like." There were like little bits and pieces that just kind of like, okay, I love that we went there, and it just like, but see, that's the thing. Like, I feel like for some of the movies that that you've done, I read the reviews like, oh, this is what were you expecting?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
you're not going to get, Saving Private Ryan here.
Well,
You're going to get
to speak to that, Rob, we're going to get at least one intimate portrayal of forbidden love during the Holocaust movie every year. If that's what you're looking for, you'll find it. Somebody's making it.
Yeah,
Right.
there's some things out there.
And if that truly is the art you're looking for, you can find it. And I think the problem is that we've got people that are, and first of all, I mean, we're looking at a genre that is a beloved genre with fans that have the ability to love every facet of it. I think that we're very unique when it comes to horror because you don't find the same fans that love, crushing dramas or sweeping romances. The people that love horror love every single facet of it. And the great thing about it is it's such a multifaceted genre that you can walk into it and go, this is the kind of movie I'm looking for. This is the kind of movie that I know I'm getting, or this is the kind of movie that I have expectations for. But we love it because, at heart, we love everything about it. And I think you get a lot of people who are non-horror fans that are looking for a horror film that appeals to non-horror fans. And that's a niche industry. If you're looking for, and I mean, like, I'm just going to come out and say it.
There's Showgirls. There's Showgirls. There's that movie with Tom Hanks when he's on the fucking island with the volleyball. I'm suing that bastard. I want 3 hours of my life back. That was the biggest piece of shit. There's I'm trying to.
Well, I'll take an asylum film almost every day over Saint fucking Maud. Sorry, I don't know if anyone has seen that film for starters, but it's. There are films that to me come out of the gate as being so fucking pretentious that it's almost unenjoyable.
I'm sorry, like horror movies are like a similar, or like the film equivalent to heavy metal, because like Brian Posehn said, you don't see people going up to each other like R&B, country. No, you see them go metal, and it's the same with horror. You just love it.
Our fan club has eccentric passwords, and we know it, and we're fine with that.
Yes. I got to tell you, though, there's one scene in Fang that had me rolling. And I don't know. I don't know if it was. I think it was probably not intended to be as funny as it was.
Let's hear it first.
He goes,
here's where I possibly insult our guest.
No. He's gonna, when I finish this, he's gonna understand, because it's when he says, I went to MCC and I graduated with honors, and today I killed a guy for drugs. And I looked at my fiance and I go, yeah, so did 65 other people that went to MCC. You're not alone, buddy. But it's
all my films, they connect in some fashion. You don't need to see the other films to see the film you're watching, whatever one that is. But it's always like, here's a little bonus if you did see it, because here's something that we explored in this with this character that you may see in this one. Like, I'm getting ready to release the Grimm miniseries, A Final Fracture, in a couple months. I can't announce anything else about it, but when we release it, that is a more in-depth story of our Grim Reaper from the Horrific Eel Monsters, giving him more backstory than he had in that film. So, I mean, I'm always looking for different ways to take characters that are people's favorites to watch, these unique characters, and trying to throw them into, situations. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
and I wish I could remember the actor's name that plays the keeper of the house in Fang.
Gregory
because he is, that part was written for him. I don't know if you did that intentionally or if it just, you lucked into having him play that part.
He originally auditioned for Roy Crowley, and Patrick Millett, who plays Roy Crowley, was supposed to be Harold. And at the last minute I said, Pat, can you try and do this a little more evil, and then I want to try and see what Gregory does of it. Gregory blew me out of the way. I told Pat, who is already cast at the time to be Harold, that he needed to play Roy and Harold needed to be Gregory. Those two people had the roles reversed, and it worked out very well.
Oh, it did. I mean, again, it's one of those things where, like, the campiness of it, the whole aspect of it, he just owned it. It was like, he put on that hat, and that hat was the character, or whatever you want to call it. It was like the magic hat he became. I loved it. I mean,
no, he didn't like the hat. True story. He did not like the hat because the hat didn't fit him. So if you ask him about it, he will tell you how he did not like it because we had to like wrap a towel inside the hat because the hat was made for somebody bigger. And no offense to Gregory, he's not a very tall person. So trying to find the right stuff to fit sometimes doesn't always work with certain things. I don't mean anything bad with that. I love Gregory; he's my man. But we've been talking, Gregory, another producer, and myself, about doing a sequel to Fang called Harold, which would be strictly a story that would focus more on the Harold character, basically delivering something to a rival family, to the Crowleys. So there's a story brewing, but we'll see.
I'm in already. I'm ready to watch it right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I love this kind of stuff. Like, to me, I will watch, I'll watch, Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and, all the other big name, horror movies. But I love those. I love the B movie aspect of it. I mean, that's the movies that I grew up on watching horror movies was Chiller. I don't know, nobody here is old enough to remember it but me, but there used to be on late Saturday nights, it was called Chiller Theater. Yes, the creepy hand that came out of the ground. And they would play all the horrible movies from, like, the 50s and in the 60s and all. That's where I cut my teeth.
What
on
about
horror
Monster Mayhem on TNT? Was it Monster Mayhem? Or was that what the phrase was? It was
might
all the
have
Godzilla
been.
films that would show up like every weekend, Friday nights or
See,
something.
I think more along the lines of, like, The Blob, and, all those movies were like the dinosaurs. We talked about this. We talked about Jurassic Park. All the dinosaurs were like geckos, and someone glued like a fin on their back. That, to me, that's what I grew up watching. Is that was my horror beginnings.
See, me and Ash are both big fans of Mystery Science Theater 3000 as well. Saw a lot of really campy stuff on there.
Like I've always said, there's a million movies made that are going to satisfy people who really like vanilla sort of movies. They're out there, but I don't think you really get into horror and love horror for those kinds of movies. I mean, your palate obviously is a much spicier palate, and and what it allows you to do is I think it also allows you to appreciate film. It doesn't allow you to. It doesn't just allow you to appreciate the marketing engine, which is basically what we see in a lot of Hollywood films. I mean, it's a marketing engine. It's not just a film. It's they've sat together in a room for months before that script was ever written, knowing that there were certain beats that they had to hit from a marketing perspective. And, it would be great to have that kind of money to make a film, but then you're also bound, unfortunately, by, the rules of having a $150 million movie, which is you got to hit the marketing beats. But, if you're making a film and you're making a film independently, you're hitting your own beats. You're making the movie that you want to make. You might not have, again, explosions on page 2 because explosions on page 2 cost you. But you're able to make a movie that in the end you love and people are going to love, and they're going to love it without that that engine. It's the marketing engine. There's a lyric that I always loved. It's like a machine that gobbles up all dreams and just spits out shit too dull to mention. And it's like that's sort of, unfortunately what we're dealt with, for the most part. And I think that's why people gravitate towards horror, because they know that, there's stuff in there that falls outside of, the normalcy of, here's a trailer that I saw last night, on network television. This is something a little bit different.
Yeah.
I will say that, and I say this oftentimes when I talk to people. Like, I talk to a lot of filmmakers. Normally, when I do panel discussions and stuff for conventions when we had them. But needless to say, and I'm not mocking that. That was a lot of work to do all that. But um, one thing I always like to say is write what you know. When I was a kid, I wrote a lot of zombie stories. So the first film naturally that I really made was a zombie film because I wrote what I knew. I just followed this thought process, learned everything I could about it because I was like a kid addicted to these zombies. I mean, a true story too. I saw Return of the Living Dead is one of I think the first horror film I ever saw. And then thinking that it was a sequel to Night of the Living Dead because it said Return in the title.
Yeah.
I went out and rented Night of the Living Dead, and I couldn't get past the first like 3 minutes of it, or right when he breaks the glass, I had to turn it off. It was in black and white, scared the shit out of me, and that just like turned me on to, is there more of this out there? I want to see how this works.
Yeah. I watched the original Night of the Living Dead when I was really young, like way too young to be watching it. I
Same.
had to sleep with the light on for like 2 years after that.
2 years. How old were you?
Like 8 or 9.
Okay.
There was also a creepy uncle that was a larger
that's another
factor in
horse.
that, but we won't go into
Yeah.
that.
The late night sneaky uncle.
Soft shoes, that's what we
but,
called him.
As a
Dr. Soft Shoes. Go ahead.
as a horror movie aside, I grew up in northwestern New Jersey, and the original Friday the 13th was filmed at a Boy Scout camp just outside of Blairstown, New Jersey.
Yeah.
That was my Boy Scout camp. Okay. My brother is 10 years older. He takes me to see the movie when I'm 13. And, at 13, growing up in Western New Jersey, where I grew up, very rural, not really very worldly, he goes, "It's a true story." And I go, "What?" Yeah. And guess who had to go back to Boy Scout camp that summer? Yeah. But it's that weird little, like, I like Mark said, like every time I heard like a random noise outside, I was like,
By the way, Rob, I love your portrayal of your brother's nonchalance. Yeah, it's a true story.
Yeah, that's just my brother's kind of. My
Like,
brother
he knew he didn't even have to sell it.
deadpan.
He knew.
Right. I was buying everything, and he didn't even have to put a price tag on it. Whatever it cost, I was paying. And
see, my brother knew I was like freaked out after watching that. That night, he hid under the bed.
Ah.
And then when I go up to get into bed, I get one leg into the bed, and a hand just grabs my other ankle.
Ah.
I nearly hit the ceiling.
This is explaining a lot, Ash.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're kind of getting to the root of the Mark.
I always wondered why he had such a problem with me hiding under his bed, too. So it's all coming out now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Normally he doesn't mind it if you grab his ankle. But if the lights are off and you grab his ankle, it's,
So, I got a question
over.
for you, Adam. And this is something that I love asking people who not only make film, but people who love film and watch a lot of film. At Horror Fix, we get a lot of screeners. So I'm watching films constantly. And, just when I think that I've reached the end, or I'm going to get a little note saying, this is the last film, you've done it. You've seen them all. Something will usually come along that will just really rejuvenate my interest and sort of, blow me out of the water. I know we talk a lot about classic films, but what's something recently that just really, really impressed you?
Willy's Wonderland.
Was
that too quick?
That was shooting from the hip. That was like high noon, Adam. You were right there.
Yeah. I quite enjoyed that, and I think it's because I have made a film before with a puppet, and I know that I don't know if like I went into it not having any expectations. You know what? We haven't seen a movie in almost a year because the theaters have been closed.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just let's do this. And Nicolas Cage, man, that dude, he is a good actor, but also what? Like what? I mean,
Again, if it's a rabbit hole, but if you see any of the like the Funny or Die episodes where Nicolas Cage will not turn down a role, I don't know if you've seen them or not.
I have. It's been a while. It's been a while.
And I think I think that might be a great possibility. You know, I think it's like I try not to turn down ice cream because it might be my last ice cream. I don't want to regret not eating ice cream, you know, which my scale will attest to. But it's like, if someone's going to say, hey, you know, got a little bit of rocky road here, I'm not going to be like, no, foul temptress. I'm not going to eat your ice cream. Because 5 minutes later, I could get shot from a random drive-by. Now, I do live in the country, so it's going to be really, really rare. But I know my last thought is going to be, fucking rocky road. I should have ate the fucking And I think that Nicolas Cage has that same sort of feeling that if he doesn't take that film, he's going to be sitting there, you know, mid-aneurysm on the shitter. He's going to be like, God damn it. And he wouldn't have taken the film, and he's going to be very unhappy about it.
My wife looked up on his, I don't know where she found it, but she looked up and he has paid more per word spoke or line spoke than he would be paid for not speaking at all. So he wants less speaking roles. This film had him speak 0 times, not one time. I thought the final shot he would say, fuck you or something. Ooh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that, but whatever, fuck you. And then
we don't care.
And then the screen would go black and you get the Willy's one. No, they hit the guy on the street, the turtle on the street. Oh, I'm really spoiling it now. Anyways, to see the film if you haven't seen it, okay? But I'm impressed with that one.
But no, he definitely,
a very impressive film.
You know, cracked the code on the American dream. He
produced it too.
You know, like say less, get paid more.
I did enjoy him in Color Out of Space.
Yeah, I want to see that. I heard a lot about that. I have not seen that.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah,
it's hard to do Lovecraft, and that did it pretty well.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to rent that.
Yeah, it's one of the better Lovecraft adaptations I've seen.
I cannot watch a Nicolas Cage movie since
without thinking, put down the bunny.
Well, Con Air had a whole list of problems. That was just the accent was just one of them. But like growing up as a kid, one of my favorite comics was Ghost Rider. I mean, and watching him just
ruin that movie,
prison rape Ghost Rider.
The second one's even worse. The second one's worse. Way worse.
I think the writers had a pretty good hand in it too, Rob. Like,
I was gonna say the writer, the director, they probably had more to do with it being awful.
There's a whole lot of just not understanding or really caring about the source material. You know, it was like there needed to be a Ghost Rider movie. That's what it was. Somebody said, "Hey, we need this Ghost Rider movie," and then they just put a team together
up the side of the skyscraper. I just looked at it, I was like, "Have you never heard of physics?"
Well, but it's Ghost Rider. I don't even care about that, honestly. Like, I don't care about him going up a skyscraper. I just care about the fact that the way they assembled the team to make that movie is like the world's worst, shittiest heist movie.
Yeah,
you know, it's like, what do we need now? A guy that can't write. You know, and then they find a guy that can't fucking write, and then they're like, what else?
If you read any of the stuff about that movie, Nicolas Cage claims that he read every one of the Ghost Rider comics, knew everything there was to know about Johnny Blaze, knew the whole, backstory, knew everything, and then gave us that.
Well, I read every Jane Austen movie in high school. Don't put me in one of those plays. Don't do it.
Don't say, again, it's one of those things, maybe
if he were really that big of a fan, he would have taken that script and did what Ed Norton did with Hulk and made it good.
No, but Mark, you have to understand, anything after he would have taken that script doesn't matter in Nicolas Cage's head. He stops
true.
at the first part. He would have taken that script. All right, we're good.
Yeah.
And we
When do
stopped
I have to know this by?
and we
Have
stopped
any
the
of you
process.
seen Willy's Wonderland? Have any of you
Yes,
seen
no,
it?
I have. Yeah, I have. Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I probably didn't like it as much as I liked like Color Out of Space and Mandy, but I was coming immediately from those films.
Yeah.
So, but I had a lot of fun with it. Like I think it's a really good movie to have a few beers with.
I agree.
Yeah, it's a really good movie to have a few beers with, and I thought it was a really good time. And I think that far too many movies set out to show you a good time, and I
Yeah.
think that
See,
one did
I
it.
tried watching Mandy because I remember one of the last times I was in Illinois, I was at your place and I saw it, and you're like, "Yeah, you got to check this
Right.
out." So I came back and I bought it off Voodoo, and tried watching it. There was just way too much purple blurrovision for me.
See, Mark, I'm an easy sell. If anything sounds like Tangerine Dream in the background, I will watch it ad nauseum. I'm totally at fault. I'm guilty. I'm absolutely guilty. What can I say? So we're coming up.
Well, I will say. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Adam.
I just gonna say I like making films that I want to see, but I try to like give people something different every time. They don't always like it. A lot of people do, but if going back to the comments thing, people are always gonna write negative comments over positive comments. That's just the nature of humans. If they liked it, they're better off giving it a thumbs up than they are even writing anything out. How often do you see in messengers people just giving the thumbs up? They don't even respond anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
There's no human contact to it. So I don't take it personal anymore. You make X amount of films, you kind of let that brush over you.
Can we
At least I watch.
Can we start a movement, Adam, where people are irreverently nice about small things in a movie, and that's what they comment on? Something like the cars in this film were exceptionally clean. I approve.
There you go. I'm happy with it.
That actor had great teeth.
Like,
I don't.
Good work.
Like the production got a police car. They flipped over a car.
See, and that could have
What
been
else?
that,
I mean-
and that could have been the irreverent
I mean-
comment. I long for
Yeah,
more movies where
exactly. That's
cars
what
get
I'm
flipped
saying. I
over.
mean,
This
yeah.
one checked on my boxes.
Right. But see, that's my point. I guess I wasn't trying to say that negative comments outweigh the positive. What I was trying to say was, pay attention to what you're tuning into.
Oh, yeah.
Don't.
I read all those comments, and I can't. I can't read all the comments. I can't say that, but what comments I do read, I try and take into consideration to make a better film going forward, even if it's
Right.
negative.
Like, you write what you like,
Yes.
and that comes through. And
Yeah.
I think as an indie filmmaker, as a guy from Buffalo, you're doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
And you're having a good time doing it.
Trying.
Your movies are, they bring joy for an hour and 20 minutes, hour 30 minutes. If you like that kind of movie, I do. Ash does, Mark does, lots of people that listen to us do. It's just fun. It is.
Yeah.
Like Ash said, it's it checks the boxes, all the camp, but all the good storytelling, all the different ideas. It checks the boxes. Who cares what I was once told that if you have a negative experience, you'll tell 10 people, and if you have a positive experience, you might tell one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Same thing goes for comments. Same thing. Same theory.
So,
Although in hindsight, losing my
from-
virginity was
from-
probably mediocre at best. I told everyone, absolutely
Did you get a
everyone.
thumbs up? Did somebody give you a thumbs up?
I had to pay
Somebody
extra
give you a
for it.
thumbs
Yeah.
Oh. Oh.
Here you go, Ash.
If I would have had an extra
You got
$5, I would have got
thumbs
2 thumbs up.
There's your thumbs up, Ash.
Oh. Hold on. That is
As
official
I bow,
hashtag of the
thank you.
night. Thumbs up.
Thank you. My work here is done.
Oh
It
God.
only took 44 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you at least thank Chanel?
What? Hey, I think by leaving it on the
I know
bedside
what that
table, all
means.
right? Here you go. There's a special on chicken nuggets. Go crazy.
She's
Do
gonna
you-
kick your ass.
Do you
Yeah,
remember?
Mark, you and I are doing the show by ourselves next week. He's a dead
Yeah,
man.
sounds like it.
Do you guys? We don't have to get too descriptive of this, but do you guys have the experience of that two girls thing, finger paint, or I don't even know if I should be saying this on this, but a couple of years ago in high school, it was like the biggest thing. It was this two girls,
Oh,
one
yeah,
cup
yeah.
or something.
Oh,
I also saw one man, one
Okay, we don't
jar,
have
which
to
is
go any
equally
further than that.
horrible.
No further than that.
Oh,
It was a
jar.
phenomenon. It was a phenomenon. That's all I'm going to say.
Here's
It
what
was
I
the-
can't
If
do.
you've heard of it, then
I can no
I'm
longer eat soft serve ice
Love it.
cream. I'll tell you that much.
No. Or eat popcorn chicken.
Right.
I don't want to know. I do not want to know.
But there's a reason why I was saying this, and it's totally lost now. But yeah, people are into certain crazy things. I guess that's the moral of that story. So
It's a sliding scale, you know. Fries in your milkshake,
And if
two
you
girls,
have
one
not heard
cup.
of it, please, by all means, do it on Google. Two girls, one cup. Do not.
I'm not going to because
Here's-
just hearing you guys talk
What I
about it,
thought was
don't
great,
wanna know.
though,
You will be
is
forever
there was a
scarred.
movement after the popularity of that clip really hit and exploded, which was people like, teenagers trying to get their parents to Google it, under the guise of it being something else, and then filming their reactions.
oh my god,
Well,
I remember
was gonna
coming
say-
home from school with a buddy, and he's like, "You gotta watch this." shit."
Literally.
I'm like, "Yeah, let's watch this shit." And he's like, "Literally watch this." I'm like, "Okay, let's do." Oh,
Yeah, I think that might have
I
actually
don't-
been the origin of reaction videos.
Oh, yeah.
I think
yeah.
that may have been where it started.
Yeah, I've got a buddy of
And
mine
now,
who,
like
Robert, you better find that video now. You
yeah,
better find that video.
it's
Yeah.
No, if these two are, I'm going to tell you right now, this is my barometer. If these two are acting that way, I don't need to see it. I don't want to see it.
Any of your viewers see it though, I'm not responsible for bringing that up or any fashion. I had a whole purpose of why I said it and be politically correct.
I know at some point,
Or-
like a kindergarten teacher was trying to promote the idea of sharing and sent someone on a very dark path. That's all that I know. And I feel better knowing that
Sharing
happened.
is caring.
There was a sequel to that, There was a
Uh.
sequel to it, but it's overlooked. It was Two Girls, One Finger Paint.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, that does sound a little highfalutin, too. It's like they really up the R factor on it. I like it.
It's just now we understand. If you remember that really awful Stallone Judge Dredd movie, when that little robot came through, eat recycled food.
I mean, they did go green.
Let's move
Mainly
on.
brown, but they did go green.
Moving on.
We are at the top of the hour, Adam. Where can people find out more about what is happening in your world? And can you give us a little idea of maybe what you've got, coming out later? Like, what's percolating?
Sure. So right now, you can find us almost on every major streaming service, depending on which film interests you. Right now, I am trying to progressively go completely over to our YouTube channel. So that is Indie Adam, but it's going to be a thing where we talk about filmmaking. Eventually, I'm going to start doing like lessons and things on there for people. But I'm not there yet. But all of our films are slowly migrating to YouTube because I'm a firm believer that YouTube is probably going to be the way of the future for a lot of things. I think you're going to have the big streaming event that's going to happen, which is you're going to have like HBO Max and these Paramounts. They're all going to start separating their companies out into these digital services. And I think YouTube is going to be the best for us filmmakers because it's free in a sense. I don't want to say it's free, but it's free in a sense for us to create and put something on there. So, and I think people still watch it. And to be honest with you, when you look at views of your films on there, it shows that people are watching stuff on there. Yeah, there's commercials, but it's free material for people to watch. So a lot of my work is now starting to gear, I guess, in a way towards like YouTube's community standards and trying to produce content that will meet those standards to be eventually put on YouTube and do some like YouTube originals or exclusives or something. But my next project right now, something called Metzberg, which is like a documentary series of all the locations in the stories to make everything kind of make sense. So if you were to watch Metzberg, it's either spelt with an S or a Z, depending on the film. And it basically goes to the timeline, the location, shows a map of the city. So we're basically world building with that. And that's a project I'm actively in development with. It may shoot in September. We'll see if that happens. But yeah. And then we shot during the pandemic a series called the Grimm mini series, Final Fracture, which is just these mini streaming episodes that you can watch about the Grim Reaper as he takes out his daily routines of reaping souls. But he tells the story of his favorite reaping, and we have some amazingly talented people in that project. Besides that, I am trying to get a feature finally off the ground for maybe next year, but we'll have to see what the wife approves, of course. I mean, what the producers approve, of course. No, we're working on actively trying to find what the next film is going to be. We have been thinking about doing a Western, so that's out there. Yeah, that is where I'm at. I think the next year is going to be more about building our brand to get it out to the public more. I've been around doing film for quite some time now, but to have a central hub like YouTube has, that's great. Besides that, Facebook, of course, social media is where it's at. We've gotten into the TikToking too, so we're releasing clips on TikTok. And yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm considering writing a book. But besides that, I think that about does where I'm at right now. Hopefully, going to take a little time off before the next project.
Do you dance on your TikTok? Is it like
I have.
dance moves? Okay.
I have. So,
Okay.
you know.
Now,
What's up? What's up?
now if you do a zombie flick, you need to recreate Thriller with your cast on TikTok.
People did. We have I have these big laminated. We made all the local newspapers, so I have a couple of these laminated newspapers that people are like posing as zombies, and there's a story in there about how a couple people were trying to do Thriller off the side when they were writing the article, so that was kind of cool. But it's funny you bring that up.
So, do you have a couple of moments off the air for us, Adam?
Sure, of course.
So, we can't thank enough for being on with us tonight. We've had a great time. I urge everyone to go out, take a look at Adam's films. There's so many different venues that you can watch them on, which is great. Definitely take a look for Fang. Keep an eye out for Horrific Evil Monsters and everything that Adam has got coming out in the near future. Again, thank you so much, Adam. Thanks for everybody who was watching tonight. Remember, next Thursday, what do we got coming up, Robert?
Chuck, Pet Psychic.
We have a Pet Psychic coming on next Thursday. Grab your cats. That was the diplomatic way to say that, because we've got a Pet Psychic coming on next Thursday. Definitely tune in. Thank you so much, Adam.